his 29th triple-double last night, but is LeBron the MVP?
Duh, every year. And I had to be reminded of this. A curious thing happened in the middle of LeBron's prime. Kevin Durant won a deserved regular season MVP over him. You know, when Karl Malone or Charles Barkley would get it over Jordan, you'd be like, come on, you're just bored of giving it to obviously the best guy. But when Durant won the MVP over LeBron, you say, nope, regular season, he deserved that. And then Steph did it twice. And both times you go, yeah, regular season, he deserved that. But when you step back and see the big picture, you saw, yeah, LeBron took a little rest. He took his foot off the pedal. He had to figure out how to make that group of guys, his group, function optimally so they could win a championship. And every year he gave them the best chance to win a championship. I mean, to the point where he took the Warriors games, 6 games, when he didn't have anyone else, and when Dellavedova was his second best player with Dellavedova, he took him 6 games competitively. Then as soon as he got his crew back, he comes back 3-1 to win. That's because the right guys were rested, the right guys were engaged. LeBron paced himself the whole thing. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers record when LeBron James doesn't play. 0-4 this year? I mean, they can't come close to beating Chicago. They can't come close when LeBron sits. Kyrie and Kevin Love and all these guys, you can't get it together. That's a good team on paper, but without LeBron, it all falls apart. 4-19 without LeBron. The Cavs are 4-19. So everyone can chirp all they want about what James Harden means to Houston. He means a lot. James Harden's a great player. Westbrook, I love Westbrook. To the Thunder, obviously. No one means nearly as much to the success of any team they're on in the NBA as LeBron James, making him not only the best, but the most valuable player every single year.
I don't give a damn what you say. I totally disagree with this year. I think LeBron James is the best player in the world. I get all of that. Just like Michael Jordan was the best player in the world. But there are moments, and moments matter. And as far as I'm concerned, this better be James Harden's moment. As far as I'm concerned, he's the league MVP. Now, you want to give me a co-MVP with him and Russell Westbrook? I get it. But there better not be an MVP trophy that's given out and James Harden doesn't have his name on it. I'm telling you that right now. This brother right here, averaging 28.9 points, 11.3 assists, 8.1 rebounds per game, shooting about 44% from the field, 35% from three-point range. Oh, by the way, not only is he doing that, they're a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. They're the #1 ranked offense. They're #1 in three-pointers made. Now, of course, we're going to sit up here and we're going to give credit to Mike D'Antoni. He deserves it. He's my coach of the year. But the bottom line is this. Take James Harden off the Houston Rockets. Allow me to help you out here. Trevor Ariza, Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon, who just became relevant to us again now that he won the three-point shooting contest. Not that he can't play because he can play, but, you know, played
not healthy a lot. Yeah.
Played injuries throughout his career. Now you got Louis Williams. I love that pickup. Please don't get me wrong, but that's basically what you have. You know what the Houston Rockets are without James Harden? They're the Lakers. These Lakers, not the Lakers, but these Lakers, maybe a little bit better shooting, but they're these Lakers. Or the Knicks. Pick your point, whichever coach you want to pick. East Coast, West Coast, whatever. That's who the hell they are, okay? Without James Harden.
Houston,
listen, let me tell you something. That's who they are. I've seen these guys. That's who they are. And so when you look at it from that perspective, now let's look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not going to waste our time mentioning those other dudes' names. Talk about riding the coattails of Russell Westbrook. I mean, my God, what has happened to Steven Adams? His camp is hurt right now. Oladipo, he's got numbers, but no, not impactful. You look at the rest of their bench, it's non-existent. Russell Westbrook is carrying them. You want to talk to me about a league MVP? I'm telling you right now, in the Eastern Conference, don't give me an 0-4 record. They're accustomed to playing with LeBron. When Kyrie and them don't have them, it's obviously foreign territory, but if they have to go from start to finish without LeBron, but had Tristan and had Love and had Kyrie and these boys, at the very least, they'd be an 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. You just made the point. Houston and OKC don't have enough around them, so you're giving. And I'm saying when you take LeBron off, they can't win. You say, yeah, but if they adjusted, they could win. Look, the modern NBA, four games don't tell a story. That's all I mean by that.
More irony. The modern NBA, as much as it's about the spread offense and everyone's involved, we see a lot of teams where that's all predicated on dribble penetration from your primary ball handler. And so that player, be it Westbrook or be it, in the East, a guy like John Wall or obviously James Harden, that primary ball handler is going to have inflated stats, particularly if he plays for who? Mike D'Antoni.
That's not fair.
That's not fair to James Harden. Mike D'Antoni, it's like in the old days when guys would play at Coors Field and hit 50 home runs, and you'd say, and have Babe Ruth numbers. You say, yeah, but he's playing at Coors Field. You put a primary ball handler who's excellent. I'm not taking shots at James Harden. On a D'Antoni offense in the modern NBA, his stats will be through the roof.
You can't bring that up without allowing me to retort. Mike D'Antoni got hired this offseason. So this is his first season with James Harden. Am I correct? I'm correct? Over the last 4 years in Houston, James Harden has averaged 25.9, 25.4, 27.4, 29.0. He's the reason Mike D'Antoni took the damn job.
Where's the assist?
Mike D'Antoni didn't want the
11
job.
assists.
That's fair, and I understand that, which is why I'm giving Mike D'Antoni.
And it ain't 29 points. It's 25 points.
What I'm saying to you is this: James Harden was all world before D'Antoni.
He was excellent.
All right, so don't tell me.
Is he made to look better or worse by D'Antoni?
Excuse me. He's looking a little bit slightly better.
A little bit slightly?
Yes.
A little bit slightly?
Yes. Wait a minute.
Like just a little bit slightly?
How good do I look, Max, if I go past half court? Max, are you a ball player? Or do you play? You box?
No.
Well, guess what? Contrary to what that video would show, long time ago, before
you can stroke it from the outside.
That's the one thing that I could do. I was a long-range bomber. Let me tell you something. You know what I used to say with dudes when we were in the park? Or when we were playing at City College with Boo Harvey and Mark Jackson and all that stuff? I used to go like this. Look, man, get the ball past half court and give it to me. Period. Move the hell out the way. All right? You get past half court. Whoop! I'm in position. It's money. Period. That's what we're seeing with Houston.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that when you're saying that's not James Harden looking great because of D'Antoni. You got other shooters. If anything, Daryl Morey. Give him credit for that. Because I'm saying you're surrounding a guy with shooters.
Does D'Antoni care about defense?
No, but
did James Harden
does this year? He does more this year. He does more this year. More this year.
All I'm saying, by the way, and this is to say nothing of the fact that the NBA, more than 50% of the teams make the postseason, and so the effect that a player has in deep playoff runs is significant and relevant to the regular season.
All I'm trying to say to you is you're being disrespectful to James Harden. If you got to give D'Antoni, listen, he's the reason D'Antoni gonna be coach of the year.
James Harden will be better or worse? I'm just curious.
I said a little better. Let me ask you this.
A little better wasn't one of the options. Better or worse?
Let me ask you this question. How much better is D'Antoni looking with James Harden as his player instead of some of the stuff that he had in New York?
Like Steve Nash?
LA? That's right.
He looked pretty good with Steve Nash. He looked good with Jeremy freaking Lin.
But you're trying to imply that James Harden is benefiting so exponentially because of Mike D'Antoni.
Yes, I am.
I'm saying it's the other way around.
No, I'm saying in the MVP race where Harden was like this.
Go ahead, Molly. Please.
D'Antoni put him like this.
Nonsense. You're being blasphemous.
You take Harden, not take LeBron. Every day of the week.
I'm talking about now, this regular season.
Don't try and change it.
And I'll take the New England Patriots on the gridiron. Patriots made the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, and you won't believe what one Falcons player is blaming the collapse on. And 2 weeks ago, Lonzo Ball's daddy said his son is better than Steph Curry. You won't believe what he is saying now. The guys will react to that after the break.
The rumors has it that they're going to acquire Andrew Bogut. Well, who's Andrew Bogut? He's a 7-foot guy who I used to call Andrew Bogus until a couple of years ago. But he's a 7-foot guy who's a frontline player, who's a defender, who, by the way, was on the last 2 NBA Finals teams for the Golden State Warriors. Incredibly familiar with who they are, what they like to do, how they like to get things done. So the combination of all those things very well may end up coming down to a LeBron versus Kevin Durant confrontation.
I see what you're doing. Well, first of all, Kyrie versus Steph, too.
But that's secondary.
Okay.
Secondary.
Maybe not in the moment of truth, though.
Secondary.
Maybe not in the moment of truth.
Sure.
I see what you're doing with your styles make fight styles. You show up in the Tom Ford cashmere sport coat talking about style today. Very slick of you, Stephen A.
I do look smooth, don't I?
Yeah, it's a nice coat. I'm not going to lie.
I'm sleepy and still look smooth. But go ahead.
Now, the point is Andrew Bogut is a defensive presence for sure.
Sure.
But to address the Warriors' weakness, their Achilles heel, he would need to be a guy who's really offensively adept in the low post. Like, you really want to exploit where the Warriors may be weak. It's that, a guy who will demand the ball in the post and exploit the fact that they don't have Andrew Bogut there. The irony is Andrew Bogut, the offensive player, is not the Andrew Bogut to exploit the absence of Andrew Bogut, the defensive player. He's not that kind of offensive player, really. He can do it a little bit, but he's not really that kind of weapon that you can use against the Warriors. I'm not sure what kind of advantage strategically he gives them.
Well, I appreciate you saying that you're not sure, because I'm very sure. Here's what I'm sure about. The way that Andrew Bogut will be utilized will buffer and augment the stature of a Tristan Thompson, who is an absolute beast against him. Not only that, the combination of Bogut with Tristan Thompson could potentially serve to neutralize Draymond Green. Draymond Green, that Energizer Bunny who finds a way just to get things done, an absolute battler and what have you. It's amazing that today we're going to be talking about JaVale McGee later on, because there's going to be a JaVale McGee sighting. He's going to have to show up, okay, and help out Draymond Green, because between Tristan Thompson and an Andrew Bogut, you're going to have, whether it's JaVale or whether it's Jaja Pajulia, okay, you're going to have somebody that helps out Draymond Green on the boards. And I'm not talking about just in terms of rebounding. I'm talking about just battling down low, making sure that the Cleveland Cavaliers are not able to impose their physical will upon you. This is what you're talking about with the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are marksmen, Max. They will shoot long range. They will beat you. That's their strength. That's how they will do it. But keep in mind, they're also very skilled at getting to the basket. Nobody gives them enough credit. They get to the basket. They put the ball on the floor. They get to the hole. They are capable of.
Well, you have to.
That's
look, the NBA hasn't changed that much in the sense that you still got to get to the paint. Whether you post someone up or whether it's dribble penetration, the whole game is still relying. Even the spread, pick and roll, and everything, you got to get to the paint, and the Warriors can do that. So I understand that defensive point for the Cavs, but again, offensively, you're not exploiting the Warriors' defense with these acquisitions. 1, 2. Let's look at the big picture here, Stephen A. The Warriors collapsed. They were up 3-1. According to you, if Draymond never fouls out, they win. They win the series.
It's a wrap.
Okay. But there was some daylight. I think they probably still lose. Nevertheless, there's debate about that. There's some daylight, and they were exploited by the Cavs. Let's not forget, at home, Game 7. I was there. So were you. 4.5 minutes go by, and the Warriors, the greatest half-court offense in the history of basketball, don't score a single point. So a very unusual thing had to happen for the Cavs to come back, Draymond suspension, plus that happenstance I just spoke about, for the Warriors to scrape and claw and barely get out by the skin of their teeth on the road with a Game 7 victory. What's happened since then, really?
They acquire Kevin Durant.
The Warriors acquire Kevin Durant, and they lose Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli, which were one of the reasons they struggled. Those two players were so inept in that finals that if you simply take them off the team and replace them with anyone else, the Warriors probably win that finals. I mean, that's how bad they were. Then you take those guys out and you replace them with Durant. And the difference, so it's Durant on the one side between two evenly matched teams. The Warriors probably should have won that series. And on the other side, you had 15 minutes of Darren Williams and whatever's left of Andrew Bogut. And you think that doesn't make the Warriors prohibitive favorites?
Right. Because they're not playing with LeBron. And by the way, you give entirely too much credit to the Warriors' half-court offense last year. I don't. You know what I saw in the Warriors' half-court offense last year? When stuff broke down, Steph or Clay pulled up from 40 and all was well with the world. Yeah. That's what I saw. That's not a half-court offense. That's not a half-court offense. That's prolific shooters who you couldn't find for those 4 minutes that you talked about.
Well, why were they open?
And by the way, if their offense was so great, first of all, they weren't always open. And secondly, more importantly, if their offense was so great, as much as I love and respect Steve Kerr, how come they didn't find a way to get Klay Thompson the ball? Think about it.
Because Steph was making careless passes and throwing the ball away.
That was one of the reasons, not the only.
Let's stay with LeBron. So we know a real man can own up to his mistakes, and that's exactly what Greeny did on Mike and Mike this morning. Take a listen.
4-19 is the Cavaliers' record in games that LeBron does not play since he came back. This year, they're 0-4 without him. 0-4. He's playing more minutes than anybody. They have the best record in the East. Love has been in and out. Irving is great, obviously. J.R. Smith has barely played. I've changed my mind. Right now, if you gave me an MVP vote, I would give it to LeBron James. If I had the vote. I've been saying Westbrook all year long. When I heard that stat yesterday, I changed my mind. And I would right now, if I were voting, I would vote for LeBron.
Westbrook did have his 29th triple-double last night, but is LeBron the MVP? His 29th triple-double last night, but is LeBron the MVP?
Duh, every year. And I had to be reminded of this. A curious thing happened in the middle of LeBron's prime. Kevin Durant won a deserved regular season MVP over him. You know, when Karl Malone or Charles Barkley would get it over Jordan, you'd be like, come on, you're just bored of giving it to obviously the best guy. But when Durant won the MVP over LeBron, you say, no, regular season, he deserved that. And then Steph did it twice. And both times you go, yup, regular season, he deserved that. But when you step back and see the big picture, you saw, yeah, LeBron took a little rest. He took his foot off the pedal. He had to figure out how to make that group of guys, his group, function optimally so they could win a championship. And every year he gave them the best chance to win a championship. I mean, to the point where he took the Warriors 6 games when he didn't have anyone else. And when Dellavedova was his second best player, was Dellavedova. He took him 6 games competitively. Then as soon as he got his crew back, he comes back 3-1 to win. That's because the right guys were rested, the right guys were engaged. LeBron paced himself the whole thing. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers record when LeBron James doesn't play. 0-4 this year? I mean, they can't come close to beating Chicago. They can't come close when LeBron sits. Kyrie and Kevin Love and all these guys, you can't get it together. That's a good team on paper, but without LeBron, it all falls apart. 4-19 without LeBron. The Cavs are 4-19. So everyone can chirp all they want about what James Harden means to Houston. He means a lot. James Harden's